I feel very small and insignificant right now, and it's not because I'm not tall in general, it's because I'm standing beneath the tallest flagpole in Missouri, the second tallest in the country, here at Midwest Roofing in Eldon, Missouri. Did you know we have the tallest flagpole in Missouri here at the Lake of the Ozarks? And when I heard about this, it went in a few weeks ago, I said, I gotta come meet these guys who put this thing up and get to know more about their business. So come with me and let's do that. We are here with Derek and Madison, and they're going to tell us a little bit about this flagpole. But as I've gotten to know these guys, you're just standing here for 10 minutes. You got an incredible story, man.
It's been quite the journey,
So like you didn't just roll out of bed one day and say, I'm going to start a roofing company. That's not how it went down.
No. My business partner Josiah and I actually grew up in a small town where we were mechanically inclined, kind of fixed things as needed. Once we moved on to college down at MSU in Springfield, we kind of transitioned that into the construction side as far as building things and fixing things, and worked our way through college and kind of landed on roofing at some point. Our senior year thesis was on roofing and the needs for it in Missouri, and we kind of just went from there.
Really? So you had to do a project for a grade, not for $1.
Yep.
And so then that was just that. And then you get out of college, what happens?
So we get out of college, we're continuing to do kind of the construction in general as far as exterior remodels, interior remodels, and Josiah's grandpa had asked us to do his roof, and we said, all right, we'll tackle it as well. Did the first one. It went fairly rough for us as far as the physical side of things, and the learning curve was also a little rough, but we just realized there was a large demand for people who needed a roofing system that was going to get done by somebody who would answer the phone, do what they say they're going to do, and give them a better product at the end of the day.
Nice. And so that one project, did you guys walk away from that and say, this is our future?
No, actually the exact opposite.
Really?
We walked away from that first roof saying it was on a list of jobs we don't want to do in the future. At the tippy top, actually,
Really?
Believe it or not. But like I said, the learning curve was pretty steep on how to install the roof. So when you don't know what you're doing, roofing's a tough gig. But learning the tips and tricks of the trade goes a long way really quickly. By the time we got our third roof on, we realized it was a repeatable process that we could go ahead and take forward in the community and help out.
That's awesome. So at what point then you walk away, you say, hell no, never again. What brought you back in? It's like a woman or like crack, you know, like brings you back in, right?
In fact, it was actually a woman who had called us out. She knew who we were. We'd worked with her husband in some advertising stuff on exterior construction, and she needed her roof replaced and was having a hard time having somebody answer the phone. Really? So we reached out, looked at the roof, decided, hey, let's give it another shot, see what we can do. It also wasn't the greatest as far as our end, as far as doing the process as smoothly as we'd like, but we were able to leave the project being happy about it, and again, learning some more to be able to propel us into the future.
Sure. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Now, I know nothing about roofing, and I was telling you guys off camera, you know, I've got a lot of questions for you, because when I think of roofing nowadays, I think of, and I was mentioning this to you, Madison, like storm chasers. Like there's never fails. I have a flyer on in my mailbox on my front door saying, hey, you had some hail damage recently. You should give us a call. What makes you different from what I would consider what seems like these just fly-by-night companies or small companies?
So a big difference is whenever we go out showing people what's actually up on the roof through the high definition digital analysis that we do for them. What happens when a lot of those people that are putting those flyers out come through, it's, you know, they see dollar signs from the hail that came down, and they're just like, well, I want to get in roofing today, and they're just sending anything and everything they can, hoping to get some work out of the deal. But on our end, we're getting up on the roof, educating that homeowner through what's actually going on up there and giving them the proper guidance on which route to go with it, and then ultimately educating them on how and what products to go back with at the same time. It's a little bit different than the guy that was putting decks on yesterday and doing roofs today. So
is that common? Is it common that a lot of quote unquote roofers are just jacks of many trades?
Super common, especially in the Midwest here. We're not as seasonal as like a Colorado, but you can work outside all year round. So a lot of the guys that are they're just trying to find anything and everything, kind of like Derek and Josiah were doing right out of college, just trying out this and that. But for some reason, these guys never just picked something and stuck with it. So it's super common in our areas that when those storms come through, they're jumping off of whatever it is and trying to grab the lowest hanging fruit at any given moment to try to tackle it.
And this is all you do?
That's it.
And you're Midwest roofing, right? So what area does that encompass?
The Midwest, really. So residentially speaking, we're going to primarily go from Columbia through Jeff City down to Eldon, through Lebanon, down to Springfield and Branson. Okay. But when we get into the commercial side of things, we've gone as far as Colorado, Georgia, Illinois. It just kind of depends on what we have as a need there. Oftentimes on the commercial side, you'll have a property owner that owns multiple locations across the United States. And once they see our service and what we're able to do for them, they want us to repeat that process on their next building that's ready to get roofed.
Gotcha. So again, as somebody who is just a homeowner, right? And unless I have an expert or a salesman approach me about my roof, I have no freaking clue what's good, what's bad, what the life is expectancy of it is. Like, so as a homeowner who probably doesn't think about this, just like I don't, right? What are some of the things that as a homeowner, they can be cognizant to when they're looking at their own roof, but B, also to know when you've got like a used car salesman just showing up to sell you something that you don't need? Like, how can we educate people to understand when is the time that they might need a roof?
Okay, it's a good question. On as far as when it is time to get your roof replaced, we always recommend having a qualified roofing company like ourselves come out and inspect it, because the variations are drastic depending on your sun exposure, how much foliage you have next to your house, the amount of moisture, the individual build of the house, all play factors into how long that roofing system is going to last. So if you start seeing things like shingles laying around in the yard, or the granules coming down through your gutters, or the black streaks coming down the actual shingles themselves, those are all good indications that you definitely want to have somebody come inspect it and take a look at it. Another thing we also forget to do oftentimes as homeowners is to look up inside the house. So be vigilant inside the house of any corners and cracks that may be forming, any water stains that might be new. Just keeping a good eye on the property in general.
Yeah, okay. And so is there any like physical things that somebody can just, other than that, that's obvious, I didn't think about that, but from an exterior standpoint, something that somebody should try to notice, or just do you recommend to a homeowner like they should have their roof inspected X number of years, or they should be on the lookout for certain things, or what is a typical life expectancy of a roof? All those things.
So our recommendation would be to do an annual inspection every year. So once we go through a freeze-thaw cycle here in the Midwest area, it can play a different role on your roofing system and on the trees around there that might have fallen off and hit the roofing system. And the old adage of an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure is a real thing on the roofing side as well. So you can take a small touch-up or repair and extend the roof life for another 5-10 years, or if you let it go bad for a couple of years, it can cost you thousands of dollars worth of interior rot and framework and such.
Sure. Now, I also typically will see on those flyers that they'll say your insurance might cover this. Is that pretty common when it comes to replacing a roof?
It's fairly common in our areas. What a lot of homeowners like to do is kind of hold off and wait for those storms to come through. The average roof that we're replacing is somewhere between 7 and 10 years old because of those hailstorms coming through. When you're in an area like, we're kind of in that tornado valley of the Midwest here, whenever you are in those areas and you're starting to have storms come through, typically speaking, there's hail damage on roofs or something like that. But nationwide, it's a different story, because nationwide, about 65% of roofs that get replaced are not from storm damage or from just the roof's getting old, it's time to replace it. That's more about 25% in our area though.
Got it. So I heard you say 7 to 10. Is that a pretty standard age when someone should potentially consider getting a new roof?
It's whenever you get a new roof put on, we actually will try to come back out and do a 1-year inspection on that roof after we've put the new one on to make sure that everything's still yet good to go from the time when we left it. Like Derek said, we would like to just continue that process and come out once a year and do a free inspection on that for homeowners to make sure that nothing's going on throughout those freeze-thaw cycles or anything that might have happened to your roof, blow into it during a storm that you didn't know about. But yeah, after about 7 to 10 years, we normally get a few pretty decent storms that roll through every year, so you're gonna have some stuff going on up there. Hopefully we can come out and tell you that it's okay and that you don't have to do anything. Just because you have those things like Derek was talking about, the sand coming off into your gutters, the granule loss, the black streaks coming down or anything like that, doesn't necessarily mean you need a new roof at that time. Those are just good signs that you're getting to that 7 to 10 year old range, to where it's like, okay, this is about where our average roof starts seeing damage from storms coming through.
Got it. You said free on the annual.
Yeah, that's correct. We do free inspections for people where we'll come out, we'll send one of our representatives out that's trained to look over an entire roof as far as the overall health of it, not just for storm damage, but making sure that all your flashing points and anything like that on your roof, every single penetration on your roof needs to be inspected at that point, making sure that you're good to go, because there's rubber grommet seals that seal a lot of that stuff up, making sure that those aren't going bad from sun exposure. All that's completely free. If you call us out, we'll do that overall free inspection and provide you with that digital analysis that I was talking about, so that you can actually see it for yourself.
Let's talk about that, because I feel like that, as you were describing it to me off camera, I joked and said, you guys are a damn media company, right? You got to be a media company to be a roofing company. I can't imagine many roofing companies have that technology, the bandwidth to do that. So explain what that means when you describe that, in layman's terms, for those of us that don't understand.
So in layman's terms, it's funny because for a long time we tried to keep this somewhat of a trade secret of ours, but at this point everybody kind of knows what we're doing and how we're doing it. Our high definition digital analysis is, in layman's term, a video of your roofing system. We get up there with GoPros, moisture meters, endoscopes, microscopes, all the different types of tools that you could possibly need to inspect the roof in its fullest, and we shoot a video of all that stuff, cut it down, splice it together, and edit it into about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes long, so that you can see basically a comprehensive analysis of your entire roofing system and everything that's going on up there.
Sounds like you're like a primary care physician, you're a scientist, you're a videographer, all the things. I gotta believe, I mean, I know you guys are biased, I have no bias. What would you guess is the percentage of roofing companies out there that offer that kind of service? Any idea?
The way we do would be probably pretty minimal. So it's a lot of extra work to get those tools and technologies and terms put into those videos, edit it down to where you can communicate in an efficient elevator pitch of what they've got going on. So if I had to throw a dart, I would say 5% or less.
Yeah, that's valuable. Whether you are looking to buy, sell, rent, invest, vacation, or pretty much do anything at the Lake of the Ozarks, we've got you covered. Just shoot me a message at this number, and I will make sure to get you connected to the right people for the job and make sure that your experience or your life at the Lake of the Ozarks is an incredible one. So the last question I'll ask about, just as a consumer now I'm hearing you guys say all this stuff, and I hear this fancy technology. We got this this flagpole that we're going to talk about here in a minute. How much extra am I paying to hire you guys versus Joe Blow down the street who knocked on my door?
It's a great question. It really depends on what you're going to get installed on your roofing system. So whenever we come out to assess your current roofing system, we're going to show you what your weak points are there, some of the issues you had, and then also offer you some products that are better to prevent those from becoming an issue in the future. And depending on what those issues are, it could be a few $100s, and it could be several $1,000s, depending on what you got going on with your specific property. But
yeah, and I like what you said, Madison, off camera too, where you talked about how if a customer has a very strict budget and wants C versus A, you guys have no problem. It's not like you're forcing the Taj Mahal on them.
No, we've got a few things that we require every roofing system to have. If there's flashing points like that, that's something that we do that most roofing companies will reuse flashing points to save some money on that stuff. We never do that. We always, those flashing points, those construction gaps, we charge to redo those to do it the right way. But other than that, yeah, what I told you earlier, I kind of likened it to whenever you're buying a new truck. If you're going in and all you're really looking for is that XL model work truck, we're not going to try to charge you for the platinum model. We're now, if you come in and you say, hey, I'm looking for heated and cooled seats and sunroof and different things like that, we obviously have that option for you, which is going to come with the price tag. But yeah, we definitely take the time to walk around with our homeowners and figure out their wants, needs, and gotta haves out of their roofing system. Then we price it accordingly as far as what products and everything like that that we're using for them.
It sounds to me like it's a product of you get what you pay for. And like my wife always tells me with clothes, because I'm very frugal about that. I'm like, just go buy it from the cheap place. Don't buy the, whatever the name brand. And she's like, listen, that shit's gonna fall apart in like a year, and this stuff that I'm gonna buy is gonna last 10 years. And I'm like, fine, I think this is a whole hell of a lot different than clothing. In that, like you said, if you get a shoddy job from a shoddy company who's not gonna probably back it, right? They're not gonna put a warranty on it, and they're not offering to come out because they're gonna be too busy putting on decks next year. I think that is, and it's. I mean, I literally just is my first time I've ever had an interview with a roofing company, and I've learned more than I ever imagined I would learn about roofing in just this 10 or 15 minutes. It's pretty fascinating. Anything as far as the roofing that I didn't cover that you would like to add to this conversation?
I would just caution homeowners that are looking to get the roof replaced. If cost is the first thing that they're focused on, and the company that they're looking at is also focused on cost, the only way to cut those costs is by cutting corners somewhere, somehow. And just like your clothes, it's not going to last as long, and unfortunately it costs a lot more than those clothes, including everything that you've worked your whole life for inside the home.
Because then you got to go hire the right company to do it.
All
fix
over
it.
again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, all right, now we've got this big ass flagpole out here, which nothing to do with roofing, I don't think.
No.
But explain where this was conceptually, because this is new. Like last couple weeks new, right?
Yep. So it just went up a couple weeks ago, officially as far as the flag raising. We bought the property going on almost 2 years ago now, and there's a little bit of an eyesore across the road that we wanted to kind of counterbalance. So we wanted to put an American flag up to represent who we are and our pride in what we do and in America as well.
I didn't see that over there.
That's the goal at this point.
Yep. And then just like many things in life, when it comes to construction, things get out of hand, they get blown up out of proportion, and all of a sudden we've got the tallest American flag in Missouri. So it just kind of spurred from that, and excitement kind of got the better of us, and we're left with a kick-ass flag and pole at this point.
That's pretty badass, man. In a time when American pride needs to be at an all-time high. That's really cool. Now, how high is it?
So it's 242 feet to the truck itself, and the truck's another about 3 feet. The flag itself currently is 30 foot by 80 foot. Currently.
What does that mean?
Well, our current rendition is 30 by 80, so they have different proportion size flags and size. So right now we're looking at already getting the second one, so we can go ahead and change this one out and keep it maintenance every 2.5, 3 months, somewhere in there. Okay. So there may be different shapes, maybe different sizes coming down the pipe, but right now that's what we've got going on.
How often do you take it down?
So right now it stays up until I think December 7th is actually our first day at half mast. There's about 3 days a year that you need to bring it down to half mast, and other than that, it stays up 24/7. It's lit at nighttime. It's amazing to see during the day as you drive by. Yeah. It actually almost goes over the road itself, which is awesome to drive underneath.
Yeah. Several miles out is when you pick it up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, and it's the second largest in the United States, I heard?
That's right? What we were told at one point. It might be the third, but we do know it for sure. It's definitely the tallest in Missouri.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's just amazing to pull up to work daily and see that.
Where, just for context, where are the other tall ones?
Was it Cincinnati has one in Ohio?
Acuity Insurance, up in the Michigan area. Yep. They have their headquarters up there, insurance company, and they have one that's around 450 feet, so about another 200 foot on top of this one. They went ahead and just really cranked up the dial.
They said,
on
good luck catching up to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'd be something to get up there and see at some point. I know it's on my list of things that I want to check out at some point in life, but after seeing how big this one is, it'd be really cool.
How long did it take to install this?
This is about a 2-month process from all the metal being on site to having it fully erected to be able to test the flag raising itself.
Really? And how is that different than just a normal flagpole, like where you're just like pulling the ropes?
Well, there's a 12,000 pound winch inside of it that actually pulls the flag up.
12,000 pounds. Holy shit.
The flag itself weighs a little bit over 100 pounds, so a couple of guys have got to carry the bag of the flag over there to make sure it doesn't touch the ground as you go.
It's like lifting weights. You're freaking nuts. I didn't realize that fabric would be that expensive.
That's partially why it's going to just stay up in the air versus coming down every day.
Yeah.
It takes almost 20 minutes to get it from the actual bag to fully up to the top of the mast as well. So
another big difference is most flagpoles get like bolted onto the top of a piece of concrete, where this one has 17 truckloads of concrete in the base of it.
I was going to say, how deep does that go?
It's about 20 feet.
Really?
Yep.
And I mean, this is a rocky area.
Oh yeah.
Were you raking rock, really?
It took a minute to get the hole, and then it was a lot of concrete trucks to fill it. So
was this area out here, which you saw in the intro, is nice. I mean, this is like a picnic area. I mean, I imagine you guys host some things out here.
That's the game plan. Actually, we've got a company party coming up in a couple weeks, so that'll be our first use of the area outside of the grand opening.
Well, you better have some heaters out there.
And on top of that, not even just for us in-house, but we probably have 4 to 8 people a week at this point, just pulling into the office and walking around and kind of checking it all out. A lot of veterans coming in and saying thank you. That's super cool to experience. But yeah, just creating a good atmosphere if some other people want to come up and check it out and sit down for a couple minminutes or anything like that.
It's a tourist attraction. I mean, I've got a video coming up that are like the 5 things you didn't know about the Lake of the Ozarks. This is going to be one of them. Like just those, because everybody knows the lake for the lake, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's so many things to do. This is one of those random things now. It's like, you got to see this. You got to come and check this out. So you're going to have people coming up taking pictures. You know what this is? It's brilliant marketing. I don't know if you meant it that way.
It really wasn't meant that way initially, but as soon as the pole started becoming erect, people started stopping by to ask what's going on.
Yeah.
Is this going to be a water tower?
Man.
Is this going to be, what is this thing?
It doesn't matter what your business is, you want to bring attention to it so more people are aware, more people think about you.
Yep.
Now, I mean, how much traffic, and during the lake season, that's going to be incredible. I imagine, come next lake season, when all these people coming from Town 54 that haven't seen this are going to be like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
It'll be a spectacle. We get semi trucks that honk the horn on a regular basis at this point when they drive by.
Awesome, man. That is really awesome. Well, fellas, this has been enlightening. This has been fun. I'm glad I got to do this. And so if somebody wanted to connect with you guys and obviously just keep you in their Rolodex, or they've been thinking about getting a roof and they want to have you guys come out and watch this fancy technology, what is the best way to connect with you guys?
Well, so they can call our phone numbers. They can go to our website, www.mwroofing.us. They can like us on Facebook, follow us there as well. There's lots of avenues to reach out to us. Anybody's more than happy to answer your call and give you any kind of answer to your questions you may have as well.
Cool. What is the Facebook?
It's just Midwest Roofing. Our giant MW logo will be right there that you can see as soon as you pull it up. We're on Instagram as well. Lot of activity on both of those platforms. But yeah, we just revamped our whole entire website as well, the mwroofing.us. So that's
appropriate.
Absolutely, yeah. Everything's kind of geared towards that way. But yeah, check us out on any of those platforms, and there'll be a way to get a hold of us.
This is home base, Eldon's home base.
Yep. This is our home office here in Eldon. We've got 2 other locations in Columbia and in Springfield as well, and then a satellite location in Kansas City is also.
Okay, what about the Port St. Louisans?
One day.
It's coming.
Yep, we haven't forgotten.
It's coming. All right, good deal. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate
it. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching another episode on the Lake of the Ozarks Lifestyle Channel. And remember, if you are looking to buy, sell, rent, invest, vacation, pretty much do anything at the Lake of the Ozarks, we've got you covered. Shoot me a message and I will make sure to get you connected to the right people to make sure that your experience at the Lake of the Ozarks is an incredible one. Thank you for your loyalty to our channel. Don't keep us a secret. Make sure you share this with other people that would be interested. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. See you on the next one.